Hello, everyone. As Rita mentioned, we can plan to kind of work around these technical difficulties. We don't always get it right, but we are excited to have you join us today for this timely topic, coping with the financial realities of COVID-19. I am Vonda Butler. I'm a financial social work consultant and also a certified financial social work coach. Eric Soap is the web director for the Center for Financial Social Work. And again, welcome and thank you so much for your patience. Just a few things we just kind of want to bring to your attention. That's really important. That can help the webinar go a little more smoothly. Let's see. Rita, can you bring that slide back up for me?
Excuse me, Vonda?
Do you have the technical slide back up? The text slide?
Can you see the commonly asked questions?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So again, the slides, the questions will go into the chat box or the box that's provided for you. And we do want your questions, as many as you can put in. We really appreciate it. We don't share the slides. However, as soon as this webinar has been recorded, we are emailing it out for you. And it will also be on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We will try to answer as many questions as we possibly can as time permits. And then please visit go to webinar or log me in, and we'll put that link for you in the chat box in a moment.
I'm having trouble advancing the slides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are we there?
Well, we're asking you to stay tuned, everybody. This is going to be a group effort, I could see, because at the end of the webinar, we will be, we're going to have a fabulous new ebook, although we will be emailing that to you. And we will give you the code. We will be offering 25% off on everything on the Financial Social Work website. And we will be giving away one free certification to one of you who did get in today. We will also be, we've added 2 other free certifications. These will all be done randomly, and the first names of the winners will be included in the email we send out with this recording. And they will also, the winners will receive a personal email telling them how to claim their free webinar, their free certification. What I don't see how to do here. So if you haven't figured out, the problem is that with so many thousands of registrants, we've never had this many registrants and didn't know to anticipate these kinds of problems. So we're kind of doing a workaround. Okay, so although Vonda was supposed to introduce Valerie, go ahead, Vonda, you introduce Valerie.
All right, I am definitely, let me see if I can get this in. Okay, so Valerie Arden is an executive director of the National Association of Social Workers in North Carolina. Valerie leads the association efforts to advance the profession of social work in North Carolina by advocating for social work issues such as hiring of degreed social workers in the public and private sector, higher salary and reimbursement rates for social workers to include career and professional support for members, and the advancement of social justice and social welfare issues. It's my pleasure to welcome you, Valerie, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We really appreciate it, even given the technical challenges. And it's all yours, Valerie.
Thank you so much, Vonda, and thank you everybody for joining us. And we're trying to make this as painless as possible. So again, thank you so much for your patience. And I have to thank Rita Wolfson and the Center for Financial Social Work for hosting this webinar on such an important topic and partnering with the National Association of Social Workers North Carolina to bring this discussion to thousands of social workers, students, and other helping professionals across the United States. So NASW has been advocating for social workers for over 60 years, and now more than ever, when social workers need support as essential workers during this time to help keep our communities safe and healthy. So if you're a member of NASW, I want to thank you for your membership and your dedication to our profession. We could not do this important work without you. If you're not a member of your professional association, I ask you to join us today. We're working very hard during these challenging times to ensure that you have the information, resources, and support you need to be on the front lines as critical, essential social workers. So it's now my pleasure to introduce my friend and longtime member of NASW, Rita Wolfson, the founder of Financial Social Work and Financial Therapy Network. Rita, you're doing a great job. I know lots going on right now. And I've known Rita and worked with her for the last 8 years, and I've been in awe of her commitment to financial social work and teaching of thousands of individuals about financial health and wellness. So again, thank you so much, Rita, for allowing me to be a part of this conversation, and thank you so much, and I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, well, thank you, Valerie. All of people on this call and the others are most appreciative of your including a 1CE for this webinar. And we can tell you that it will count as a face-to-face, which is really terrific, and we're so appreciative of. So money, that's what got us here today. It's a part of everyone's life, but most people certainly have a love-hate relationship with it. They'd love to have more, hate not having enough, wish they knew what to do with what they do have. Some people obsess about it, others stress about it. Some spend it recklessly, others seem to ignore it mercilessly. Some never talk about it, others talk too much about it. And we know it doesn't grow on trees, it isn't good or bad, and it's certainly not the root of all evil. Unfortunately, too often, it is a source of worry, anxiety, and frustration, and it is definitely what brought over 11,000 people to register for today's webinar. And as I said earlier, we have a lot to share with you. So, since we know how stressful money is and how stressed I am because of the technology right now, I did think we should start with just a moment to center ourselves, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's move on to the presentation. I'd like to start with our financial social work affirmation, and it goes like this. Just for today, I will love myself enough to face my fears, practice self-acceptance, and embrace hope. Silence my inner critic, speak my truth, and make my peace with my past. Just for today, I will give myself permission to eliminate toxic people, beliefs, and behaviors from my life. And just for today, I will prepare for a better tomorrow by making friends with my money and with myself today. And that, I hope and believe, captures what financial social work is all about. So we're going to start with the only poll we've included, and we felt it was worth sharing with you. So we're going to launch that. With some difficulty. I'm having difficulty launching that poll, Vonda. Okay, there you go. All right. So I do believe you can choose as many as are appropriate or as you are feeling. We do like to make our webinars interactive, but with so much content to share today, we only did this one poll. So a little more than half of you have voted. We're not going to spend too much time on this poll. I'll go ahead and count it down and show you how everybody here is feeling. Okay, so I'll close that and I will share it with you. So we all are feeling the challenges of uncertainty and of our health. And I believe that everybody here has concerns about money, either personally or for our clients. So how did we get here? Now there's a question. So we plan our we do a monthly free webinar, and we had one scheduled for today, but about 2.5 weeks ago, it occurred to me we should do something on the virus. And we went ahead and created this webinar and had this amazing response. And for me, our webinar today is about the financial crisis, the COVID financial crisis, because for those of us in the helping professions, this financial crisis is something we will be helping clients with for a very, very long time, because it hit hard and fast and very ruthlessly jeopardized the futures of everyone financially unprepared for such an emergency. And while we will talk about the fact that we could have done some preparation, obviously none of us could possibly have been prepared for how this was going to happen. So the financial stress, anxiety, and problems accompanying the COVID financial crisis, they are very long term, I'm sorry to say. They are being likened to the Great Recession of 2008 and the Great Depression, which is of great concern because of the statistics that refer to unemployment and financial problems from the Great Depression. And so the fiscal and the physical ramifications will forever be part of our psyche and of our lives. And as my granddaughter, my 10-year-old granddaughter said recently, she said, "So this is our life now?" Yes, this is our life now. So I started this section asking, how did we get here? And so I'm going to share some pretty staggering statistics about how we got here. And the first one is the most important, because 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And while none of us ever dreamed that those paychecks would end so abruptly, anyone living paycheck to paycheck obviously has a problem because the paychecks aren't coming anymore. So you can see for yourself, how these statistics were bound to, kind of demonstrate this tremendous need for us to be in better financial health. And it is research based that 21% of Americans believe that winning the lottery was the most viable way for them to fund their retirement. And when I talk here about credit card debt month to month, and that people can only handle emergencies by using a credit card. I wanted to share that 25% of these people have been falling behind for at least 3 years, and 15% have been carrying that debt more than 5 years. Just an aside is the fact that those people who pay in full on their credit cards every month, they don't pay interest. If you have charges going month to month, you are paying interest on that interest on that interest. And that's not going to help anybody for sure. So 80% of people said money is their number one stressor. And 77% of Americans are anxious about their money. You can see on average, Americans carry 38% in personal debt. A lot of numbers painting a rather bleak picture. So we cannot underestimate the seriousness of the COVID financial crisis. Coronavirus is first and foremost a health crisis. Then it's a macroeconomic disaster where the economy is definitely in free fall. And for us, it's a catastrophic, traumatic consumer crisis. Let's talk a little bit more about money and how personal it is and how complicated, how ignored. So not knowing how much money you have, how much you owe, and how much you need facilitates a true money disconnect. That money disconnect means we don't see it, we don't touch it, so we can avoid it, we don't pay attention to it, and that allows us to spend more without thinking about it, eliminates the potential for saving, and all that time it's creating debt and problems and problems. So debt happens when you fail to pay attention to your money. Credit card use, which is spending money you haven't earned. Now that's a major cause of consumer debt, but I'm sure everyone on this call knows that debt comes from multiple sources, from illness, especially job loss, accidents, student loans. Credit card debt reached its highest point at the end of 2018, and it continues to grow. So when that happens, its adverse impact is swift, severe, and potentially forever. And you can start to see here anger, guilt, fear, anxiety, phobias, because financial problems aren't, and you'll learn more about this in a few minutes, but they go far beyond dollars, cents, debt, and budgets. They influence our physical health, emotional, all areas psychologically are impacted from financial problems. So, all right, trying to move this again. So we know that when clients come to us, they're often in immediate need of solutions. They need crisis intervention, and we want to help them. That's what we do. We're in the helping professions. However, even though it seems reasonable not to stop and address the financial component, by ignoring it, and because it is such an underlying factor in so much of the work we do, we actually become part of the problem and not part of the solution. So based on a lot of the comments and questions that came in ahead of the webinar, I know that everybody is hoping for some real in-depth triage. I am having trouble with these slides. So I did want to start with some basic things that we can do, but unfortunately, there is no magic wand. There is no way to overcome decades or many years of not paying attention to our money. So we can do some specific steps, and we'll be talking about spending triggers and spending today in ways that eliminate debt tomorrow. It's really important based on all of, now a lot of questions that came in wanted to know specifics of how to help clients, what to do for them, where to get resources. Well, we definitely have people from every state in the country, and we probably have people from around the world because we have graduates in many, many countries. So it's incumbent on you to actually find out what those local, state, and federal availability is to help your clients with those programs. But let me just, before moving on, talk about helping clients resist hoarding and definitely avoiding price gouging and scams. The scams are rampant and they're going to take advantage of people who so don't need to be taken advantage of anymore. Now, the three major areas of the coronavirus aid relief and economic security, or the CARES Act, are the mortgages, and hopefully that relief will be available because millions of people are already late on rent and mortgages this month. But it's important to know that whatever relief is available is not automatic. So we need to find out how clients can access those resources. Debt collection, we know that debt collectors are pretty aggressive. I wanted you to know that the Fair Debt Collections Practice Act does make it illegal for debt collectors to engage in unfair, abusive, or deceptive practices when going after debts. That doesn't mean that they won't, but there is this act to try to help and protect clients. And credit reporting. We know how important our credit scores are, and many clients are really aware of that. The problem here is that we should think about credit worthiness in normal times and not in times of a global health crisis as we're facing now. So, why financial social work? Very popular hashtag today is "we're all in this together." And to a degree, it's true. However, I tend to think that Lily Tomlin's very well-known quote, "we are all in this together by ourselves," is much more accurate. It's great to see celebrities on TV and on the internet saying how we're all together. They're sitting by their pools and collections of cars and other material things. But none of us can possibly know what anyone else is experiencing personally or financially. So yes, we are all in this together, but we all have our own financial worries and fears and concerns. Because no one chooses to have money problems, even though most people do. The good news is that no one can or needs to know everything or the same things about money. Obviously, it's not possible to know everything. So that's good news to a degree. However, we do need to know certain things in all economic times. And those are the things that pertain specifically to either our lives or our clients' lives. So when you talk about money, Just going to give you 2 or 3 seconds to think about this. When you talk about money, what are you really, 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 really talking about? Well, I know that when I speak in person, there are always people who get it. And of course, you may have thought about a lot of other things pertaining to money, but of course, we're talking about power because the people who have the money have the power. And what we do, our work, is about empowering clients, and that is a part of financial social work. So you will see a lot of models that I've developed through the years, trying always to simplify this to make it understandable. So our model is to engage clients in financial education, motivation, validation, and support so that we help everyone to understand that there's always help, and we help them create hope, always hope, hope, hope. And we help to create healing and wellness. We do it individually and in groups. It's an ongoing experiential process, which is strengths-based, introspective, and works individually or with groups. So our process looks something like this. You'll hear me speak a lot about this, and I hope you'll have this pretty well in mind once we finish. It's about changing our relationship with money, changing our relationship with ourselves, self-discovery, self-care, self-healing, and recognizing, embracing, and taking ownership of personal financial health. We work to help clients understand why they are where they are, connect them to where they want to be in the future, and then have a real potential to develop strategies and methods for clients to achieve success. So it's about changing the thinking. That's that psychosocial component, the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs about money, and the behavior, the behavior, the behavior, the behavior. It's how one earns, spends, saves, shares, and borrows, and allows the potential to work with clients in any one of those 5 areas. Very client-centered, empowering, and focused on change. The relationship we have with our money, with ourselves, is at the heart of it, because that's what drives financial behavior, how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. And that's what determines our financial circumstances. This is where it happens, and it's as simple and as complicated as that, for sure. So financial social work goes beyond dollars, cents, debt, and budgets. We have to go beyond that to explore the fundamentals of financial well-being, which are our thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs. And we address the financial behavior, how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. And yes, we include budgeting, which we call a personal spending and savings plan. But we want to get to the root of what's creating these problems. And there's many components, again, many more than the dollars and cents. There's money, self, behavior, the role of others, the role of society, where we are in the life cycle, and financial health. So money, it's complicated, and we need to be more connected to it, more involved with it. Self, how we see ourselves, how we feel about ourselves. If we don't have hope, if we don't feel good about our financial futures, we're not very likely to make the time or the effort to change our financial futures. Behavior, how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. That does say it all. The other people in our lives, they influence us every day in so many ways, as does society. We're constantly being bombarded by media, social media, our phones, our laptops, we are being told that we need to do these things to be in better state of happiness. Where we are in the life cycle, there are certain steps in the life cycle from being a young person, making sure that we teach our children about money instead of being part of an ongoing financial illiteracy movement. There was a time when businesses and government did more to help us as individuals, but now it really rests with individuals and families to create their own financial futures, and too many of them are ill prepared to do that. And as I mentioned earlier about health, our finances are a part of everything we do, and they're in every aspect of our lives, and they really play a significant role in physical, mental, and emotional health. So most of all, financial social work is about helping people make peace with their money. So the financial reality of COVID-19, unfortunately, it's very traumatic. And we know it's traumatic on so many different levels. And people who have experienced trauma are much more likely, as I'm sure you all know, to experience all of these additional challenges and problems. And I'm not going to talk a lot or actually any more about suicide, but statistics do show how financial stress can lead to suicide. So self-care for helping professionals. The truth of my experience really is that we are all a lot more alike than we are different. And we all are experiencing our own challenges at this time. And it is impossible to compensate for a lifetime of financial neglect. But there are things that we can do, and those are the tools and the skills that I'm going to be sharing with you now. But first, I wanted to address some self-care for professionals. And I think if we begin by acknowledging our own financial fears and anxieties and putting them into writing, we have a good starting place to be able to create positive change in our own lives. And I encourage everyone to start your own financial self-care practice by scheduling time with your money, having a money space. This is one of the most important things you can do. Schedule time with your money and create a money space are two pieces never really discussed, but are so important to how we, to our relationship with our money and ourselves. And don't confuse your self-worth with your net worth. And forgive yourself. We all have to be much more forgiving about the mistakes we've made in the past and just trying to learn from them and not listening to that inner critic that's always telling us what we did wrong. Goal setting, goal setting, goal setting. That's going to make all the difference in the world, as well as holding on to hope. It's always present when we're open to it. And to wind down with some professional self-care, avoid further escalation. What can you do now so that your finances, and how can you help your clients to eliminate further escalation of these financial problems? Alter, change those thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs we carry with us from childhood about money. adapt our behavior, how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow, and accept that the past can't be undone, but the future can absolutely be improved upon. So prioritize, very important, what actually needs paid, important for us, important for our clients. The rent or mortgage, the car loans, the utilities, child care, and if there is any child payments. These things are of top priority, and most other things can wait to be paid. We need to find our own new normal. And I'm here to encourage you that in your new normal and in the normal that we hope to help clients create, that it has a financial wellness component. So some creative financial wellness approaches. These activities will allow you and your clients to learn a lot in a less formal way, in a different way that engages imagination. And they work because they're non-threatening, inclusive, engaging, and dynamic. Some of these include personal journaling, which is a great way to view your life differently, vision boards that invite the subconscious to create solutions for whatever you're working on at the moment. Mind mapping is a way of connecting around a central theme. Inspiration, sharing your favorite poems and quotes with your clients. But just as important, having clients bring their favorite quotes and stories and poems to share with you. Now we get into some spending elements, spending triggers and money habits. So a spending trigger is a thought, feeling, or reaction. Happy, sad, lonely, guilty, anxious, and it prompts spending money. And too often we spend money we may not have, and we create debt. So spending triggers, they can be feelings, they can be situations. FOMO, fear of missing out. Got to get past that one. Family friction, problems at home. Could be work friction, illness, money problems, window shopping. Think about who you spend time with and how that prompts spending. Now, we're not out and about, so things are different now. However, a real concern is how easy it is to shop online on your phone. And that's why I talk about being sure to think about how this will all play out once we get past these initial stages and concerns about the coronavirus. So addressing spending triggers. Again, you can take a look through these. One of my favorites is to wait 24 hours before making the purchase. Another is to freeze your credit cards in a metal bowl so you can't just nuke it. And ask yourself the question, is it a want or a need? And only spend on needs. Remember, the spending can and never will heal feelings. So when we spend to feel better about ourselves, it's not going to work. The best way to save is a savings account, not a store receipt. And the dopamine that makes you feel good when you're shopping is really only a very short-term fix. Money habits, those are behaviors that when they're repeated regularly, they tend to occur subconsciously. They're a more or less fixed way of thinking or feeling acquired through repetition. So rather than focusing on some of the less healthy money habits, let's think about ways that could be more helpful for us. Tracking our cash, auto-scheduling bill payments to avoid late payments, knowing those spending triggers, using a personal spending and savings plan, paying more than the minimum on your credit cards, not playing the lottery, having an emergency fund, all very helpful, positive money habits to practice. So I've talked a lot about financial behavioral change because money management is a core life skill. It's not something, it is something we too often decide we can choose or not choose to pay attention to. However, it is required to navigate every stage of the life cycle, and developing these skills requires financial behavioral change, because until and unless behavior changes, nothing changes. So we can sit with the client and develop a budget, tell them what they should or shouldn't do, but then we own all of that. We need clients to take ownership, to develop the skills to navigate their own financial futures. So this begins with recognizing the need to change our financial behavior and then making the commitment. All change begins with commitment. Then developing the knowledge and the skills, learning from the past so we can prepare for the future, and being prepared for setbacks, because setbacks do happen. We need to stay connected to our money, maintain our motivation, share the journey with someone else trustworthy, allow time, and trust the process. So that is our financial behavioral change model. Then I have for you a change plan. And when we have the opportunity to work with a client and create a financial behavioral change plan, it's a great learning process for us as well as for the client. And most of all, what the client gets is the knowledge of what behaviors need to be changed, the actions that are required to make the change, and how to measure their success. And so in the ebook, you will have these instructions and this plan for working with clients around behavioral change. I would love to go through these 20 simple but meaningful financial self-care principles, because I think they're so important to be more self-accepting, because all change begins with self-acceptance, not to compare your life with others' lives, to certainly set personal and financial boundaries, and to give yourself permission to have a better financial future. I'd love to tell stories about how they work and what they've done, but I also really want to allow some time for questions. So you can go through these in the ebook. They're principles that inspire positive thinking, expand self-confidence, complement financial well-being, and are germane to daily life. Goal setting your way to financial well-being. Goal setting is a critical piece of change and of success, and these steps are an important part of being able to goal set and succeed. So, as I wind it down, I have this question: where do you go from here? Well, we believe this is a watershed moment for financial social work and for the work of all helping professionals, because it's needed now more than ever. We encourage you to rethink, revise, review, and expand your work to address financial health. We suggest you invite a psychosocial, financial, behavioral wellness approach into your own life and into your classes, offices, practices, clients, and casework. We suggest you become part of a long-term solution to the COVID financial crisis. It's going to be around for a long time, the outcomes, and connect your clients to the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs about money. We suggest you encourage better financial behavior, earning, spending, saving, sharing, and borrowing that empowers healthier relationships with money. We suggest you join thousands of professionals across the country and around the world in creating opportunities for clients to experience the life-affirming, financially healing, and transformative process of financial social work. We believe the bottom line truth is that most client populations desperately need financial engagement, education, motivation, validation, and support to survive this crisis and to improve their financial futures. We are here to help with our certification, and by help I mean we are offering a 25% discount, something we've never done before, and will be available through April 17th, a week from tomorrow. And that code to save the 25% is SAVE25. And we have some upcoming webinars that are guaranteed not to shut you out. I apologize for the inconvenience. We had no way of knowing that over 11,000 people would want to join us today. For those of you who got in, I'm really glad you're here. For those who didn't, we will be converting this recording in just a few minutes when I finish up and emailing it out with our financial reality coping guide, COVID-19 and beyond. So most of the materials in this webinar are included in it. I hope you'll use them personally and professionally to help you take control of your money and gain control of your life and your clients. And so I thought we would have the ebook here, but apparently we will be sending that to you as soon as we convert this recording. And now we will try and take a few minutes of Q&A. I'm assuming that with 1,000 people here, we have some questions, Vonda? Vonda?
And we won't be
Vonda?
capture them, and they are.
I'm not hearing you, Vonda.
If anyone else can hear me, can they type in the chat?
I can hear you now. Are there any questions?
Yes. So you can hear me? Okay, great. Okay, let's start with this one, Rita. Where do you start when someone is frustrated because they say they don't have any money or not enough money?
We start at the very beginning. We start by helping clients understand why they are where they are today. And we move on to helping them identify where they want to be in the future. Of course, many of our clients don't have any money, but if we can engage them in a process where they have the ability to learn about money and be motivated and understand what financial health is and how they can achieve greater financial health, I do believe that then the financial tools, the more traditional ones, like a personal spending and savings plan, then they make sense to the client when the client takes ownership of his or her financial future.
Okay, here's another one. Are we able to share this information with our personal community on social media in a simpler way? So many I know could benefit from this info, but I won't share it if there are any copyright law restrictions. Can you speak to that, Rita?
I am happy to speak to it. Everyone who registered did receive, I believe, our free ebook on financial social work, what it is, what it does, and why it matters. It's a title similar to that. Everyone can go to our website and download the brand new ebook that I just showed you on the COVID financial crisis. We created this for all of you, the webinar, the ebook. I worked nonstop for a week on the ebook and on this webinar. So yes, share it, share it. Feel free to share it. Let's see what we can do to really broaden a financial wellness movement. It's okay. I started 23 years ago with this work, doing this work, and it's been needed every day of those 23 years. But even in the Great Recession, starting in 2008, people weren't nearly as moved to action as I think we are today. Again, based on so many thousands of people registering to be here today. So share it. I'm a social worker. I like to share. But of course, we do have, many more in-depth tools, and we will be, sharing those with you. Let me see if I can, there's that discount code, which is pretty significant, and our contribution to all helping professionals and to this COVID-19 challenge that we're all sharing in. Another one?
Someone wants to know, they say that I'm not a social worker. Can I take the certification?
We have as many non-social workers as social workers. And in the ebook, you can see towards the end of the ebook which category you would be certified in. We have people in Canada, Australia, Africa, Israel, Hong Kong. I went to Hong Kong twice and I taught over 100 social workers. So it's not about the coins or the bills. It's about thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs, and how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. And it's relevant to everyone's life. So, yes, that was a long answer. So yes.
Let's see. Let me see. How to improve hope and patience to wait until regular life.
Say that again.
I think they're asking, how do you improve hope and patience while waiting, to resume regular life?
It's a great question because it's really something that we need to do. Now, I'm not sure if it refers to the professionals on this call or to working with our clients, but as my model shows, it's about engaging, motivating, educating, and supporting, and certainly validating. So you do it slowly. You do it one step at a time. We help clients believe that it's possible. Thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs. Thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs. Those are usually or too often holding us back. And that's where it all comes from. What did we learn as children? Do we accept where we are and feel that's as good as it gets? Or do we encourage clients to work, to be different, and to be or have something different? We talk about that some in the ebook. Another one?
Okay, yes. Someone wants to know what's the average time for completing the certification? And once finished, have you heard, do you hear of results from helping clients? I think that's what they're asking.
Well, if you check some of the things that graduates say on our financial social work Facebook page or on our website, they talk about how it changed their lives and how it changes clients' lives. Our students have 6 months to complete the certification. If they need more, they can get more. The majority of our students do complete it within 3 to 4 months. And I would absolutely hope and pray that it changes everybody's life. Our graduates can use all of the original materials in the certification with their clients. And it just is a different perspective on our relationship with money and our relationship with ourselves. Those two pieces are very connected. Until we're in a healthier place with them, we're not going to be able to see that change. Again, it's so much more than dollars, cents, budgets. And
Rita, I want to say, because I know that this is your work and you're the creator of it, but I would be remiss if I didn't speak from a financial social work coach as myself, someone who is not a social worker. My background is in management and business. But I teach my family and closest friends about the principles and concepts of financial social work. It dramatically changed my life personally as a single parent of 2. And I learned a lot about myself and my relationship with money. And I think if anyone is actually working with a population, regardless of what that population is, can do just great justice to help people really just be less stressed. You're right, it's not a quick fix. It is ongoing, but I have no regrets becoming a financial social work coach. So I just thought it would be, I should say that as someone who is certified in financial social work. So here is another question. Let's see. This is more of a comment. They say, my struggle is helping my people with their financial fears with the limited community resources they have available right now. So it sounds like someone is struggling, really trying to deal with the fear of managing their finances. Can you speak to that, the fear factor?
Well, the fear is very real. It is very difficult. I mentioned earlier, and we do touch on that in the ebook also, but I talked a little bit earlier about if you're living, the statistic was 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Now that paycheck is gone, and we don't know if or when it's coming back. And that's why reference to the Great Depression is too real for me, because this is going to be with us for a very long time. We need to not level, well, we do need to level the curve through social distancing, but we need to level some of those fears. We need to be able to talk about money in healthy ways. We need to help clients learn how to talk about money in healthy ways. In this country, we still don't talk about money. It's still not something, we'll talk about sex before we talk about money. Me, I talk about money all the time, but we need to help clients develop the tools to talk about it and to understand what's involved. Again, motivation, validation, engaging clients, changing the conversation, having a safe place to talk about money. That's not something we've been doing. And we can't fix it, but we can empower clients to think about it differently and to view it differently. And we're making a start that way.
Thank you, Rita. Another question on the certification. Oops, I lost it. Hold on. Okay, here's the question. Does the certification include how to work with vulnerable populations that receive public benefits or are undocumented?
We don't address specific populations, again, because of the psychosocial component. The money, tools, and skills are the same, so to speak. And we couldn't possibly, my frustration in creating this webinar was all the material I wanted to include and the time limit of an hour to do it in. So the certification has 5 workbooks. They all have a psychosocial component, and all of the basic financial tools and skills are involved, even the basics of saving, the basics of investing, but we can't in 5 workbooks break out and attend to each population. Vonda and I are always available to our students and graduates to discuss and brainstorm different approaches for different populations. And we know there are many, and they're all different, and they're all struggling, unfortunately.
Thank you, Rita. I do want to read this comment. I finished it at my own pace within the deadline. They are talking about the certification. I use it all of the time by blending it into the curriculum. A lot of my clients are nonprofits who have required financial education curricula that cannot be changed. However, they do let me add this information into the curriculum, so I may not have the same group work as a social worker might, but I do include it in ways that can still be felt in a positive way by the classes I teach. So I think that's
Thank you.
a really good comment. I don't know, do you want to go with the more questions or?
Well, I wanted to go to.
Oh, I have a CEU that I think probably I should probably address. And I think you sent this information, but someone wants to know where they received the CEU via email.
Yes. I guess we should finish this webinar so it can start converting and we can get it to everyone. The ebook will be attached to that email. I think it should take something like 3 or 4 hours to convert, and for you to get the email with the CE certificate and the ebook and the recording. And sure, share it with everyone. Okay. Any other pressing questions?
No pressing.
Well, I invite you all to join future webinars. I can pretty much guarantee you can get in, and you can continue asking those questions, and we can continue this dialogue and hopefully move past the most difficult pieces of this coronavirus. Thank you so much. Thank you for your
Thank you,
patience.
Valerie, for attending. I think she's still here.
Thank you. Yes, I'm still here. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it. Good job.
Okay, everybody, stay well and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.